You were my brother's best mate, and then.
Well, I met your oldest brother first.
You met my oldest brother
in the back alley.
In the back alley, that's right.
Tried to give me some drugs.
No, he's not that bad. But then, yeah, and then you
just class C, wasn't it?
Yeah, you met my brother Nathan, and you two became friends, didn't you? And then he ended up spending pretty much most days with you, and then I ended up getting tagged along because my parents didn't really want me sitting around the house, and so basically what used to happen was I used to sit and watch my brother and Tom play the Nintendo and the GameCube every day and not get a go, and my brother sort of
didn't have the talent for it really, but
debatable. We'll sort that out over a quick game after this. But I've got a Nintendo.
Look, mate,
and a Switch
I'm
GameCube.
just like, I'm maimed right now.
Yeah, there's the excuses. Always an excuse with Tom. But yeah, mate. And then he sort of grew up a bit quicker than we did and got into like proper grown up high school stuff. And then
what, me?
Nah, my brother.
Oh,
and then
I was gonna say,
sadly, you got left with me at the end. And then me and you just sort of realised that actually we've got quite a lot in common, and you know we were both played the same games and definitely overly competitive. There was a lot of Smash controllers and
Smash pool cues.
No,
as well,
that is
right?
a different story. That one. And then yeah, we literally.
And now, I mean, the friendship's blossomed to the point where you've given me a Mr. mug with wedding vows on it. We sit on the floor and play Nintendo 64 on like a little, what are they, CRT TVs? You know,
Yeah.
like the little box TV and I mean, yeah, I would just like call Jim every time I got home from school, and I'd want to be. Jim lived up the end of the road, so
Yeah.
I wanted to like spend every moment like just playing Nintendo or like in the street playing Kirby or
bikes later on,
breaking our bones cycling or bike jumping. And
we never went to school together. It comes.
I went to the school Jimmy wanted to go to.
Oh yeah, no.
He didn't quite qualify for it though, sadly, because he wasn't. How can I put this? Intelligent enough.
This has been an ongoing debate for years. Tom seems to think that I didn't get in, but the truth was I couldn't be bothered to go to his school, and it was an all-boys school. And I'll be honest, I felt like I had a chance with the ladies, and Tom didn't, so it suited you better.
Fair point. Yeah, I mean, no, it was good fun at the boys' school, just being boys growing up. When I was 18, I mean, a lot of our group, we went to different universities, and then, but yeah, we always stayed in touch. But yeah,
always made time. Always like made sure we went to we did global gathering like in the break because we like wanting to make sure
there's a photo
stayed
that
friends.
Anjuna's found of me in an Anjuna t-shirt.
You were, yeah, I mean, you were buzzed. We both were. And Juna for us was kind of probably one of the big things that glued us together, I think, for a long time. And I think we slowly broke the rest of our friends down to coming into that circle.
They kind of were into like some dubstep, some drum and bass, and then
Mike liked Indian, much more Indian sort of, I would say, like Snow Patrol-y side of things, didn't he, for a while? Indie.
I don't remember Mike being like into like Indian music, but
not Indian, indie. He was much more into like that kind of thing, wasn't he? And
right, like more bands.
He still is.
Well, Mike just loves like sellout stuff, really, like the commercial.
He's not gonna like you saying that.
No. So yeah, Global Gathering was great. Did we see Above and Beyond there?
Oh, we saw Armin at one, and I'm sure we saw them at one of them. I'm sure we must have done.
Yeah, we did. I can remember like feeling like Tony saw me in the crowd, and I remember because like he'll sometimes like point at people, and I feel like I was like, he saw me, like what the heck?
I thought he was just pointing you out to security to get you out, just throw you out, get rid of this kid over here.
I remember you'd found those shades that were missing like a lens, and like we thought that was the funniest thing ever.
They were, yeah.
That was one of the funniest things ever.
I mean, it was
Up there.
It was pretty early in the morning. It was like 4 a.m. and I think everyone had quite a lot to drink, and we were just. I think everyone was knackered as well.
Too many WKDs.
Yeah, we always made time, didn't we? Like no matter what we did, we always made sure we made the time. Like even went to uni, made the time. You've gone to America, you've been here for Christmas, great. Like always a spare room for you, and we always make sure we do something. Like it's always the same thing. Funnily enough, like it's always gaming really nowadays. Like, and not even modern. It's always like Nintendo or GameCube or recently like Switch, which has been great, and we're even still competitive. I mean, we've been playing lately Hollow Knight, which we played here, and then
Yeah, I couldn't really do it when I
couldn't
was
get
here.
to grips with it.
But I mean, it was just so difficult, and you were doing all of the difficult parts of the game, and I would just sort of walk around and then get to the next hard bit, and then you'd do it.
And then you just hand me the controller and go, "Do you want to do this bit?" And then you've gone home and now started playing it yourself and changed the button layout, and
Yeah,
we chat about that now, don't we? Like to find out exactly where we are and which one we found the hardest.
yeah,
and
we've both pretty much got to the same roadblock in it, really. I think.
yeah, we've just discovered that we're not good enough. Basically, we're not good enough. It's too hard. You wanted a car and you were looking at was it a Fiat Bravo or a Punto?
All right, we'll cut this. Cut this out.
I believe it was a Fiat Punto or a Fiat
I'd never
Bravo.
have got a Fiat Punto.
It definitely was.
Sorry about all the Fiat Punto owners
and
listening.
You were convinced.
It's a reliable car, isn't it? It's the Punto.
It's Fiat.
Is it Punto or Punto?
Punto. It's no Fiat. No,
It's Italian.
It's and Italian.
One step down from a Ferrari.
Italian vehicles are not known for their reliability, and I think your words
Better than
were
a Panda though. Punto.
I probably wouldn't say it is, but
Debatable then.
and you just had your Ford Ka, which was
Like it was a sport KA. Can I just put that out there? It was a 1.6, mate. All right.
it was Hulk green, and it was
Hey, that was the first one. That was the before.
that was awful.
It was black. Do you remember I called it?
Your second one was black.
It was called Vader, and it was the Sport KA 1.6, burning people at the lights. Burning the Pintos at the lights.
It was awful, and it was just this awful car. And Tom maintained it was a great car, and he loved it.
It was a good car.
And that it was, and he kept saying, no, it's a great car. And then he said, well, I'm gonna upgrade. I'm gonna get a Fiat.
No. So this is what happened: is I got a knock on the door one Monday at like 11 p.m. and this old lady across the road, she was dropping off her like boyfriend, right?
Yeah, I remember this.
And she dropped him off. She's going to drive to go home, but she'd left the car in reverse, and she put her foot down, reversed really quickly, ran over her partner.
I shouldn't have.
He survived, but he got like broken ribs, a massive like gash on his stomach. Probably shouldn't use that word either. And then and got a torn scrotum, didn't he? That's actually, I shouldn't laugh at that.
We were. It was funny at the time, but I mean,
No, he was fine. I mean,
he
wasn't.
fine.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at this. I'm a sick man. But yeah, she didn't stop there. She kept going, and she totaled my car. It didn't look like a lot of damage, but then they came back.
Your car wasn't worth a lot anyway, so they wrote it off.
It was a lot to me, mate.
It was awful, and it was just. Tom kept saying it was fast, and it was not fast, and it was small, and there was like 5 of us, and we
This
were
is
all...
a guy, he had a yellow Honda Jazz.
That thing ripped. That thing was great. It was my mum's, but it was, I loved that car, and I still maintain it was a better car, even though it was yellow. That was better than the 4K Sport. And the fact that you were even considering a Fiat speaks for your taste in vehicles. Like, and yeah, you were going to buy that Fiat, and I think you asked me.
It was a Bravo. I think it was a Bravo.
It was a Bravo, and you asked me.
Don't see a lot of those these days. The Bravos.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. And yeah,
they all sold out.
And I told you, go and get a Mazda. Go and get a Mazda MX-5.
Yes.
Like,
Mazda MX-5.
You'll love it. Like,
yeah.
Promise you, you're going to have a great time.
So I found one, the British Racing Green.
You did, and we went together.
Went to get it.
To test drive it, and
it was love at first.
And I didn't even get a go in it. You went and test drove it with her, and then came back and were sold. You were like, yeah, I love it. And Tom, for those that don't know, we call Tom a salesman. He's a swindler. Like, Tom has a way of somehow
in a good way.
Financially working out, getting deals, and he will, like, he can sell anything. He will sell it. And not only will he sell it, he'll, like, if he buys something for a price, he will sell it for more money than he bought the thing for. And he, like, still, he sort of, I said, look, the car's great. I'm really happy. Like, it's a good deal. The car's fantastic. And she sort of said, well, I've got the roof, and if you want the roof for it as well.
Yeah, the hard top.
And I told him, get the hard top. They're really rare. Like, they're not very common in the colour and stuff. And he still negotiated a deal on the hard top and bought the hard top with this car. And I think since then, that was really the first time ever that you had a car that you realise cars are fun. They're not just sort of an item.
That was a great car to, like, cruise around, especially, like, here in the south of the UK, like on the back country roads. And I would just, for the first time ever in my life, I would leave my house to go for a drive with the roof down. Like, I didn't, even though the Sport K was, like, obviously, everyone was just looking at it as it went by.
Tom was the guy in the convertible hardtop car, like the convertible car.
Yeah.
In the, like, when it wasn't very warm, who had the massive pair of headphones on that would be driving around, and you'd be looking at it thinking, what is he doing? Like, it's a cold day. And he would have, like, a hoodie on and a jumper and a scarf, but he would still have the top down and the biggest pair of headphones you've ever seen. And you would just look at him and think, twat. Like, this guy. And he loved it, like, all the time. And you still made a profit when you sold that car after 2 years.
Yeah, I did.
Was it more than 2 years?
I sold the hardtop separately.
You did, and sold it for twice what you paid for it. And the car you sold for more money than you paid for it.
Yeah, it did made a profit.
Which we'd made an agreement that he would sell it to me when he sold it. And then someone annoyingly came along and offered him a lot of money. And I felt mean.
A lot being...
A lot of money for what it was, and I felt mean. So I said, look, I'm not going to buy it off you for that much money.
You were still, like, loving the Jazz at that point, weren't you?
Was I? No. I bought my Subaru, which was a complete money pit.
But an epic. We'll get a photo of that, because that was an absolute epic car. And we had the biggest laughs in that car.
We did, and you were the worst influence. You were the reason that I went on the police, like, watch list for my car. Like, my car was extremely loud, and
the sex offenders
popped. And it popped and banged. And I remember Tom's favourite thing about that car was it popped and it banged loud. It was like a shotgun, and, like, there was areas where I would do it because it was fine, and Tom was just this. He was like the devil on the shoulder. He would phone me and he'd go, "Hey, what are you up to? Like, should we hang out?" And I'd go, "Yeah." And then he'd go, "Hey, let's go out in your car. Let's just go for a drive, like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's just take it out." And so we'd go out for a drive, and we'd normally stop off at, like, a shop, and we'd get a drink, and all we'd do is drive. And the funny thing about Tom was, you would drive it down a road, there'd be a bus stop, and there'd be a little old lady sitting at the bus stop who was probably about 70, 80. And Tom would just be there going, just sort of going, Jim, like, do the pops and bangs. Go on. The old lady, she loves it. She wants it. She wants the pops and bangs. And I'd be going, no, man, like, she definitely doesn't want it. We'll give her a heart attack. And me being me,
I was just suggesting, like, you know, if you want to, you could do it.
Tom knows he can. Like I said, Tom is the master swindler, and he knows everything what to say. He knows exactly how to push buttons and get someone to like do what he wants, and he knows how to get me to do it. And somehow he would just convince me. He would just get me to do it, and I would just do it. And we just terrified. I think we just terrified so many people with that car. For those that don't know, Tom's nickname was Mr. Chubs, and he was Mr. Chubs because he would always eat food, and then he'd come to your house. He'd say like, he'd have dinner at his parents and say nothing, and come to someone's house, and then you'd say, your mother, like my mum would always say like, oh, do you want something to eat? Do you want to have dinner with us? And I'd know Tom had had his dinner, and he would still be going, yeah, I'd love some. And so Tom would be having second dinner.
It would have been impolite to say no.
We had leftover spaghetti bolognese in our cupboards from dinner.
I knew you'd remember this.
and we were being polite. We were all having food, and Tom came home from his parents from his dinner, and we said that, you know, if anyone's hungry, there's like, just help yourself. There's food in the fridge, just, you know. And what we meant was like, make yourself whatever. And Tom came out with the whole of our leftovers of spaghetti bolognese, enough to feed 2 people, piled on a plate, and just came in and sat and ate the whole thing, like, just out of nowhere.
The Carey family cookbook.
Yeah, it was Laura's.
Fun fact, Jim's name is actually Jimmy Carey.
Yeah.
Are you making tea or coffee?
Coffee for me, tea for you. You don't really drink coffee that much, do you?
How many spoons are going in? Are you going to try and keep it modest for the camera, or are you going to...
No, I have normally 3, but that's 2 and a bit. I like sweet things, tea and coffee. So I like my coffee how I like my coffee like me, strong and sweet. Surprised you like the tea, Tom, to be honest, because I know you're not a PG Tips man.
I like a bit of Yorkshire tea right now.
He's a fancy boy.
I actually had this debate with someone very recently who's a PG Tips fan, so do apologise to PG Tips fans. It's not my first choice, but beggars can't be choosers, you know. Looks a bit stewed, that, to be honest.
What does that mean?
You can see the floaters in it, mate.
Just being picky.
That is a good one of Jim when he was young.
Yeah, that's good.
I was meant to burn that.
So this is when he was 12, and this is actually a wig. Do you remember when we went to your ex's house, and I just had a flashback of that when she gave us, her mum had cooked us dinner.
And you threw it on the floor.
By mistake. I was just stood there, and suddenly I just dropped it on the floor.
This was like this was your first meeting with her mum, if I'm not mistaken.
She was a bit of a MILF though. I'm joking. But she actually was, wasn't she, if I remember right?
My wife's watching. Okay.
It's pretty good tea actually, Jim.
Told you, mate. Not bad at making tea. I'm all right. PG Tips isn't bad. It's like you and the Richmond sausages.
Oh, mate, don't. The Richmond sausages are...
Richmond sausages are banging. You're a snob, mate. You're a snob.
I've got this track coming out called Warrior quite soon, which nice little segue there. Don't know if you've listened to it yet, but I did made it as a little tribute to the story of you battling leukemia and overcoming it. But it was, I say, from the moment that you were diagnosed and the moment you took on that mindset, really, a warrior mindset, you were like from that day were a warrior in my eyes. So it didn't really matter what the outcome was going to be. Like, that was the way that you fought it the whole way through. Just, it to me made complete sense. Yeah, that's Jim's a warrior basically, and I'm going to call the track Warrior. So I did.
Thanks, bro.
And
I love the track, by the way.
yeah,
It's the only one I like. I'm just joking. Tom knows I'm his number one critic for his music. Like, I make no lies that Tom's music's not my usual music, my usual style of music, but like, I actually do like that track. That one's a good one. But yeah, mate, I like a broad spectrum of music. I've always been much more like, almost like EDM, dubsteppy.
we grew up loving. We forgot to say that actually. We grew up with like electronic music, and we discovered like trance music via Classic Euphoria. I mean, that is my whole entry to
One of the best albums.
why
And
I'm
Lounge,
passionate about music.
yeah, White Room, and like Goriella, and like Lounge, all that stuff was kind of what we really got into, wasn't it, at the start? And then yeah, like from there, just Adam Nicky and Above and Beyond, obviously. Love those guys. Their music was, we used to always tune into ABGT like all the time.
Or TATW back then.
Trance Around the World at the time, yeah, like that was kind of, and then that's how we converted all the other guys into getting into it, because they used to not really like it, and then they kind of discovered it and then got on the bandwagon. But yeah, and say like, yeah, it's kind of weird. That's like kind of how we bonded, wasn't it? Music. It's kind of like the thing that was our thing. Normally like a little cheeky Jafran.
That's a name of one of our favourite Indian restaurants that no longer exists here in Worthing, but
we found an adequate replacement now. But
we found another replacement for it. But the Jafran, R.I.P.
We're always on the same wavelength, weren't we? There was always a thing, like if ever we met up with groups of people, there'd always be me and Tom in one bandwagon and everyone else in like another bandwagon. If you like said to everyone like, what food does everyone want? Everyone would be like, they'd say, oh, I want pizza or whatever, and then and me and Tom would be looking at each other knowing what we were going to say, like, and then Tom would be like, little Indian curry, and we just both of us would be like, yeah, I think, and then we'd try and gang everyone up, wouldn't we, to get what we wanted.
I always tried to swindle him.
He's the master salesman. He knows how to sell things, and it worked most of the time.